Hey, everybody. I was told you could see my mouse, but not me. So we're going to dive into this here. I'm super excited about this. How many people do we have here? Hang on. I got to go look and see what our viewership is like. I know it takes a second for people to get here. I'll give everybody just a second. But there was some very, very exciting news today. I'm super excited to talk about it because it massively impacts what we're doing here. So let's dive in. If you're here, say hello. I would love to see you. And in fact, I need to pull up the chat window so I can see you guys. I'm world's worst streamer, but I'm getting better. That's the key. I'm getting better. There we go. All right, now I see you guys. Hello. All right, this is gonna be great. We got some cool stuff here to talk about. Which is kind of the theme for what we do on these anyway. But this one was unscheduled. I was not planning on jumping on here today. I figured, any updates that we had could wait until Thursday when we're going to do our next discussion. And it turned out that the news this morning that broke completely changed everything. Right, because my whole day got derailed. All kinds of crazy cool stuff is happening now. I'm really excited to actually talk about it for just a second. So here we go. I might make my video window a little smaller here as needed. But the big thing to know is that this morning, Sam Altman from OpenAI made a really, really cool announcement when he said they shocked everybody with the release of something they're referring to as GPT-4o. Now, GPT-4o, first of all, cool name. I actually really like that name. What is it? What was promised? What was said? When? All that stuff. So the first thing is what got upgraded. Well, GPT-4o is now what they call a multimodal ADI, or ADI, multimodal AI. Or multi-model AI, depending on who you're talking to. What that means is it's capable of interacting with you in multiple ways. GPT-4o now has voice, decreased time to response, so it's faster, and it now has the ability to do image processing. So when they say multimodal, what that means is that it can do voice AI, it has image AI, and it has text AI, all in one model. Very, very cool. So what does that mean for us? Well, a couple things. First of all, the voice thing is kind of interesting, but let's talk about the price, because this is going to cause a little bit of confusion. When Sam Altman announced GPT-4o, he said on stage, it's free for everyone, right? And of course, I can see all of our wonderful customers and potential customers looking at that going, yay, does that mean that SayIntentions will be free or one-time fee? And the answer is no, because when Sam Altman said it would be free for everyone, it's sort of free for everyone. What he means is it's sort of like how ChatGPT is free, always has been. Anybody can use ChatGPT without paying money. Now GPT-4o can be used by anyone without paying money. However, it can only be used for free inside of their little web browser interface. In other words, if all you want to do is chat with GPT-4o on your own, yeah, that's free. Very cool. But for developers like us and thousands of others who are using GPT-4, it's not free. But it did come with an interesting announcement, and that was a price drop of 50% compared to the previous GPT-4 models. Oh my gosh, you can imagine how freaking excited I was when I woke up this morning and pulled up my phone and looked at it and saw this as the headline. I like scrambled out of bed and ran to my computer and I'm looking to see what does that mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? And guys, I got to tell you, a 50% price drop for us is enormous. We're going to talk about what that means for you guys here in just a second, but this is a big deal, right? So let's first of all, though, focus on what on this page matters to us. With GPT-4o now having voice, you say, oh, well, does that mean we can just use GPT-4o for all of the voices that we have? And the answer is no. The voice is very narrator sounding, not real customizable. It doesn't sound anything like an air traffic controller. but it's a step in the right direction. So for now, we're going to be sticking with the existing neural AI voice generation providers that we currently use. And we'll continue to keep an eye on the GPT-4o voice capabilities as they get better and expand. But definitely the voice capabilities of GPT-4o are not going to be useful for SayIntentions. They just wouldn't be a great experience. But the time to response got upgraded. It's significantly faster. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Image processing, not particularly interesting because nothing in the ATC world is done with images. It's done with math. I was going to say charts, which is good, but the data in those charts is typically elsewhere. I did grab some taxi diagrams and showed it to the GPT-4o image model, and it was able to successfully recognize that it was a taxi diagram, and that's about it. It went south from there. It didn't go well. So we don't think that there's anything inside of the image processing capabilities that are going to be particularly interesting to what we're doing from an air traffic controls perspective. But the time to response and the price drop are both very interesting to us, mostly because those are the top 2 complaints. Those are literally the only 2 complaints about the service that we're providing. Especially when compared to all of the other options out there. Those are the only 2 things that are quote unquote needs improvement on our side: time to response and price. We know, we get it. So let's talk about this a little bit more. We made some changes this morning with a little bit of work. You can imagine how excited I was to test this out. We got GPT-4o working. Took a little bit of back and forth and nudging and prodding and, changing a few things with the way that we do interactions with the AI, but we got it working. So what are you going to notice right now as a result of all of this? Well, our early testing, keep in mind this has only been live for 4 hours, but our early testing is showing it's, first of all, way faster. It's not even close. It's out of the ballpark faster. Time to response is about 3x faster than it was before, where we were waiting roughly 6 seconds for a response from GPT-4 before. We're now generally under 2 seconds to get a response from GPT-4. Now, remember, that's only one part of the AI stack. But the total time to response is the one that we pay the most attention to. In other words, from the time that you let go of the transmitter button until the time that you hear the ATC start responding to you. In the past, when we first launched, let's just give you a little history here. When we first launched 3.5 months ago, our time to response was about 18 seconds. It was insanely low, or insanely high. It was just, it was a bad experience. But we knew it would get better over time. 30 days ago, we got that time to response down to about 10 seconds. 2 weeks ago, we got it down to about 8 seconds. And this is all work that we've been doing on the back end to try to get the responses down, making our AI interactions more efficient, optimizing our cloud compute infrastructure, all of those kinds of things. And I'm really, really, really excited to say that, well, let me back up a little bit. From day one, I have said that the sweet spot for ATC response is 4 to 6 seconds. That's roughly where it needs to be in order to feel like you're interacting with a real air traffic controller in real life. 1 to 2 seconds, not realistic, way too fast. They're not that fast, except for just a couple requests here and there. 3 seconds, you're getting there, but 4 to 6 seconds is roughly where a real air traffic controller is in most situations. So I've always said, man, if we can get into that 4 to 6 second range, we're going to be just like, chef's kiss, good. It's going to be so good. So where are we now? Well, we're tracking today. I don't even know how to say this. 5.9 seconds right now. Enormous speed increase that we've picked up. And it was really fun because the minute we turned this thing on, I mean, within 60 seconds of us turning this thing on, we had people coming into our Discord and saying, did you guys do something? Because it's like really fast now. It's so cool. The other thing that's interesting, yeah, Asa, thank you for mentioning that. The time and the day of week can impact our response times as well. During peak times for GPT, which is, business hours USA, GPT tends to get a little slower, maybe a second or two slower. But we've been operating during business hours today, and it's like lightning fast. So I'm very hopeful here. So in our implementation that we just turned on today, we're noticing a massive increase in speed. The second thing that we're noticing, and this is really interesting, it's about 15% more likely to give people a correct response from an unscripted request or question. In other words, Sam Altman promised that the accuracy had gone up. We are seeing that. Straight up, 100%, we are seeing an increase in accuracy. Now, here's the thing, though. It's live now. Yay! You can go use it right now. Just log on and start using your ATC just like always, and you're going to get the new GPT-4o. But here's the key. We need the right to roll it back if we experience reliability or quality issues. And I said if/when we experience reliability or quality issues, because in the past, when GPT has launched a new model, we have found that it's a little bit hit and miss for a few weeks when they launch it, right? Sometimes we can use it, sometimes we can't. Some of the models they've launched, we can't use at all because they just don't work very well. And some of them have been quite good. We don't know yet where this is going to settle, just to be very candid with you, but it's looking really good right now. However, I promise you that over the next 2 to 3 weeks, there's going to be large chunks of time where we have to not use it as they sort out and work through some of the challenges and problems that are going to be inevitable with the release of a new model. They move as fast as we do, right? They'll put stuff into production that's a little bit experimental, and we get it. We're usually on top of it, and we can change the model that we're using in a second or two. It's no big deal for us to switch between models and move to the one that's currently delivering the best performance and the best reliability. So that's the key here. I'm really, really, really excited about this. Okay, let's keep going here. So all of this means we can drop the price, right? Yeah, the answer, well, let's talk about that actually. The first thing is, you need to understand that GPT-4 is a little less than about half of our total operating cost to run this business. So that means that about $15 of your $30 is going towards GPT-4 in order to make this thing work. Okay, so and why is that? Well, it's because we spend money on neural voice generation. We have a high-performance cloud compute infrastructure that handles all of the ATC, the multiplayer, all of that stuff that you see. And we have some other cloud AI services as well. GPT-4 is only one of the AI services that we're using in order to bring this magic to life. So a price drop of 50% for GPT-4 doesn't necessarily translate to a price drop of 50% for SayIntentions, but we're gonna do the math. So that's what we need to do. Before we can drop the price, we need to make sure, right? We got to be sure that this is going to work. It's got to be fast. The accuracy has to be good. It's got to be reliable. And we also need to do some math on some workload shift. Maybe there are some things we can move from GPT-4 off to other things now, or maybe there are some things we're doing elsewhere that we can move on to GPT-4 in order to either increase the speed or decrease the cost. So we got some rejiggering of workloads to do. So if you please be patient with us. I promise you the price will be dropping as a result of GPT-4o. Yes! And if you remember from day one of this thing, we've said, as the price of the AI technology drops, we will drop our price and pass that along. We just don't know how much we can drop it yet because we need to make sure that we understand the speed, accuracy, reliability, and the workload shift capabilities of this thing. We've been live for 4 hours, guys. Right? We don't know yet. But I thought it was really, really, really important that we let you know that, yes, if this works, when this works, I'm sure that GPT is going to make this thing work because the early testing is so good. When this works, yes, we will be dropping the price. We just don't know how much yet. And it's going to take us a couple weeks to figure this out and to get GPT-4o stable. And once all that's done, we'll know. And I also want to mention our annual subscribers will be taken care of. So if you paid for the 12-month plan, don't worry about it. Relax. I'm not. You will be taken care of. All right. We'll make sure that your subscription is extended, or we'll come up with something that makes it right for you. You guys invested in us. You believed in us. We're going to make sure that we do right by you guys. Okay. And then so when? Well, look for an official announcement on what this all means at FS Expo. Okay. That'll give us just the right amount of time to do the math, to figure all this out, to know exactly how stable it's going to be and exactly how much of the workload we can shift to GPT-4o. But in the meantime, enjoy the significantly increased speed and the significantly increased reliability and quality that's GPT-4o. It's live now. Go play with it. It's amazing. And I'm really, really, really excited about this. One final thing, by the way, if you have questions, fire them off in the chat room. I'm very, very happy to answer them. Yeah, Jay, if you paid 1 year, yes, we're gonna take care of you. I promise you. Don't worry about that. I can't take care of you until I know what the price drop is, and then we'll do sort of like a prorated math backwards on what it would have been, and make sure that you're taken care of. We will true it up. I promise you. So nobody is more excited about this GPT-4o price drop and performance increase than I am, because they are the two things that we said early on day one that were our biggest problems: our speed, the time to response, and the price. And if you remember, on day one, I said, hold on, guys. Just sit tight. This stuff is going to get cheaper. And as it does, we'll pass that along to you. It's going to get cheaper, and it's going to get faster. It's going to get cheaper. It's going to get faster. Not only is it happening now, exactly as we predicted, but it will continue to happen as well, right? This won't be the only price drop that ever happens. I suspect, I'm guessing, I'm speculating, please, that 6 months from now, there's going to be something else that happens. Don't know what that looks like. Don't know who it'll be. But just like all cutting edge tech, it starts off really high and a little slow and a little unusable, and it gets, faster and better over time, right? Super excited. Is there any way to add an indicator to the app to tell what version of GPT is being used? That's an interesting idea, TJ. Let me think about that. Right now, it's GPT-4o, and we have no intentions of changing that unless something goes south, when something goes south. So just, keep that in mind. One more thing for you. We really do have a huge announcement on Thursday. This has not delayed what we have coming up on Thursday. So join us on Thursday when we do this. It's completely unrelated to GPT-4o. And I'm really excited about this Thursday announcement. Okay, that's it. That's what I've got. I do see questions about the Navigraph announcement. Is that delay? No. The Navigraph stuff is now live and working, and it's awesome, and you can go use it right now. The airport editor, it might be online later tonight, but it might slip until tomorrow morning. There's one last little thing that we're working on. Yeah, Navigraph, question mark? On last Thursday, we announced that we are switching to using the Jeppesen data via Navigraph for our taxi instructions. We're sticking to that. It's live now. There's one little caveat to it, which is that we're finding that the Jeppesen data does not handle runway crossings very well. So we're working on a solution to that. So if you get that dreaded taxi at your discretion, it's because there was a runway crossing, and we're sorting through that. We'll have a solution for it. Don't worry about that. But that's live now. As promised, Navigraph Jeppesen taxi instructions are live. If you're a Navigraph Charts subscriber and your Navigraph account is linked, you will now get taxi instructions based on that sweet, juicy Jeppesen data, and it should be accurate. Again, if there's a runway crossing, you're going to get that dreaded taxi at your discretion. Give us a couple days to work through that little problem, because we're finding that the lines don't connect, and we'll come up with a solution to that. So, live now, and it might be tomorrow morning before the airport taxiway editor is live. So, again, that might slip by a couple hours in terms of our promise to you here. Questions? All right. You guys are amazing. Thanks so much. And go play with the new GPT-4o based SayIntentions. It's really cool. It's so fast. Thanks, you guys.